In this video, I'm going to share 3 small habits that completely changed my life in just one single day. And I'm not exaggerating. These habits are so simple that when you first hear them, you might think, there's no way something this small can matter. But if you stay with me until the end, you'll realize how these tiny shifts can create a massive domino effect in your life starting today. Because here's the truth. Most of us are stuck in the same exhausting loop. You wake up, grab your phone, get sucked into notifications, rush through your day, feel drained, go to bed late and then do it all over again. Day after day, the same cycle, the same stress, the same frustration. And deep down, you know this isn't the life you want. That's why this video is so important. I'm not going to give you theory. I'm not going to give you fluff. I'm going to give you 3 practical, real habits that you can apply today. By the end of this video, you will not just understand what they are, you'll feel ready to act on them, because I'll show you how they can immediately shift your energy, your focus, and your confidence. So if you've ever felt stuck, lost, or like life is slipping away one boring day at a time, watch this until the very last second. The value I'm about to give you could be the reset you've been waiting for. And before we dive in, make sure to subscribe, because what I'm sharing today is only the beginning of what can transform your life. The first habit that changed my life in just one day was this. I stopped letting the world control my mornings. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, oh, this is just another morning routine lecture, hear me out. Because what I'm talking about isn't about some 20-step routine you'll never stick to. It's about something so small and so practical, you can literally start tomorrow morning. Here's the ugly truth. Most of us are waking up every single day and instantly giving away the steering wheel of our lives. How? By reaching for our phones the moment our eyes open. And you know exactly what happens next. One notification drags you into work stress. One text drags you into someone else's drama. One headline convinces you the world is falling apart before you've even brushed your teeth. Sound familiar? That was my life for years. And I'll never forget the day it finally hit me. I woke up, reached for my phone, and the first thing I saw was an angry email from a client. Just a few lines of text, but those lines hijacked my entire day. My mood, gone. My focus, destroyed. I skipped breakfast, skipped my workout, snapped at people, worked frantically, all because of one email that wasn't even urgent. Has that ever happened to you? One tiny notification sends you into a spiral, and suddenly your whole day feels ruined. That's when I made a decision. For the first hour of every morning, the world does not get access to me. No emails, no messages, no social media, no endless scrolling. That first hour belongs to me. And that one small change, it was like I had unlocked a hidden superpower. Now, at first, it felt uncomfortable. My brain screamed at me, check your phone. What if you're missing something important? But here's the reality, nothing was ever important. The world survived just fine without me for 60 minutes. What I gained in return was priceless: clarity, calm, and control. So, what did I actually do with that first hour? I created tiny rituals. Not a massive, influencer-style routine with meditation cushions, green juices, and 50 push-ups before sunrise. No, just small, doable things that grounded me. Some mornings I wrote a single line in a notebook. Today, I want to feel calm. Other mornings, I stretched for 2 minutes or simply drank coffee slowly in silence. That was it. Nothing fancy, nothing complicated, but it anchored me. And here's the magic. Those small actions shaped my entire day. When I wrote down calm, I caught myself breathing slower, making decisions more carefully. When I wrote focused, I resisted distractions and worked deeper. One word, one intention, and it shifted everything. Think about it. When was the last time you actually asked yourself how you wanted to feel today? Most people never do. They just wake up and let chance decide. But feelings are like destinations. If you don't choose where you're going, you'll end up lost. Another small piece of this habit was protecting my focus like it was money. Because, honestly, it's more valuable than money. You can lose cash and earn it back. You can lose possessions and replace them. But once you lose focus, the day is gone forever. And I realized I had been throwing away my most precious currency every single morning on nonsense. Let me tell you another story. Before I made this change, I had a habit of checking emails in bed. One morning, I saw a crisis message about a project. I panicked, skipped breakfast, skipped everything, and jumped into work. Hours later, exhausted, I realized it wasn't even urgent. That was the last straw. I had sacrificed my day for nothing. And I decided, never again. Now, maybe you're wondering, can 1 hour without a phone really change anything? And I get it. It sounds too small to matter. But here's the truth. Small hinges swing big doors. And this one hinge guarding my mornings was the door to everything else. So here's my challenge to you. Tomorrow morning, don't touch your phone for the first hour. Give yourself that gift. Write down one word for how you want to feel. Stretch, sit in silence, drink coffee slowly. Do something that belongs only to you. Because when you take back your mornings, you take back your life. And if you think that sounds powerful, wait until you hear the next habit, because it's not just about protecting your time, it's about rewiring the way you see yourself, your confidence, and the decisions you make every single day. The second habit that changed my life in just one day, something that doesn't look impressive on the outside, but it completely rewired the way I see myself on the inside. This habit is about self-respect. And here's the raw truth. Your life is a direct reflection of how much you respect yourself. Let's be honest. Most people don't struggle because they're lazy. Most people don't fail because they're stupid. They fail because deep down, they don't trust themselves anymore. Think about it. How many times have you promised yourself something and then failed to follow through? Tomorrow I'll start working out. This week I'll finally stop procrastinating. From now on I'll eat healthy. You say it, maybe even believe it for a moment, and then you don't do it. And every time that happens, something inside you breaks just a little. What breaks is not just discipline, it's self-trust. And without self-trust, you can't build anything lasting. Because why would you even bother making plans if, deep down, you already know you're going to let yourself down? That's exactly where I was stuck for years. I was the guy who could talk about big dreams, but couldn't even keep the smallest promises to myself. And I hated it. Then I realized something simple but life-changing. I didn't need to start with massive, world-changing commitments. I needed to start with the tiniest possible promises and actually keep them. That became my second habit. Make tiny promises to yourself and follow through, no matter how small they are. At first, it felt almost silly. I told myself, tomorrow, I will drink 1 glass of water as soon as I wake up. That's it, 1 glass. And when I did it, something shifted inside me. For the first time in a long time, I proved to myself that I could do what I said I would do. It wasn't about the water, it was about rebuilding my credibility with myself. And once I felt that, I was hooked. The next promise was just as small. I will do 5 push-ups today. Not 50. Not a full workout, just 5. And I did them. And again, my brain whispered, see, we did it. That whisper grew louder every time I followed through. Here's what most people get wrong. They think confidence comes from hype, motivation, or repeating affirmations in the mirror. No. Real confidence comes from stacking undeniable evidence that you can trust yourself. That's why a person who keeps tiny promises will always outgrow the person who keeps setting massive, unrealistic goals and breaking them. And it's not just physical habits. I started applying this everywhere. Instead of promising myself I'd read a book this week, I promised, I'll read 1 page today. Instead of saying, I'll write a full chapter, I promised, I'll write 1 sentence. And here's the magic. Once I started, I almost always did more. 1 sentence turned into a paragraph. 1 page turned into a chapter. 5 push-ups turned into a workout. But even if I only did the minimum, I still won, because the promise was kept. Let me give you a story that really drove this lesson home for me. I used to be the king of all or nothing. I'd start these intense 30-day challenges, wake up at 5 a.m., run 10 miles, meditate, journal, eat clean, the whole package. And for 3 days, I felt like a superhero. But by day 4 or 5, I'd crash, I'd miss a day, feel guilty, and then quit the whole challenge. I thought the problem was discipline, but the real problem was trust. I kept proving to myself that I was someone who couldn't finish what I started. When I switched to the tiny promises habit, everything changed. Instead of crashing and quitting, I built slow, steady momentum. I told myself, just 1 small thing today. And when I did it, I wasn't just building a habit, I was building self-respect. And once you respect yourself, your entire life starts to align. Think about it like this. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you're making a withdrawal from your self-respect account. And when that account is empty, you walk around bankrupt in confidence, energy, and drive. But every time you keep a promise, even a tiny one, you're making a deposit. And those deposits add up fast. So here's the practical takeaway. Don't try to overhaul your entire life in one night. Don't try to fix everything at once. Take one tiny promise. Make it so small it's almost laughable. And then keep it. Every single day. That's how you rebuild trust. That's how you build momentum. For me, it started with water, then push-ups, then journaling one line, then reading one page. Over time, the promises grew bigger, because my trust in myself grew stronger. But the principle never changed. I don't break promises to myself anymore. Let me ask you, what would happen if you became the kind of person who always kept their word? Not just to others but to yourself. What if every time you said, "I'll do this," you actually did it? Imagine the confidence you'd walk with. Imagine the opportunities you'd chase without hesitation. That's the power of this habit. So here's my challenge for you. Today, right after this video, make one tiny promise. Something so small you cannot fail. Maybe it's writing down one sentence. Maybe it's stretching for 2 minutes. Maybe it's drinking one glass of water. And then keep it. Do it again tomorrow. And the next day. Watch what happens. Because when you start stacking those tiny wins, you stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who does. And that identity shift is priceless. That's when discipline stops being a struggle and starts being automatic. That's when confidence stops being a dream and starts being your default. That's why this habit changed my life in one day. Not because of the water, or the push-ups, or the notebook, but because it restored the most powerful thing I had lost. Trust in myself. And once you have that, everything else becomes possible. And if you think that sounds powerful, wait until you hear the third habit. Because the third one doesn't just shift your day, it shifts your entire perspective on life. It's the glue that holds everything together. And once you start practicing it, you'll never look at your choices the same way again. The third habit that changed my life in just one single day was this. I started living as if my future self was already in the room with me. Now, before you think that sounds too abstract, let me explain. Most of us live trapped in the now. We eat what feels good now. We scroll because it feels good now. We skip work because it's easier now. And while those decisions feel small, they compound in silence. Every choice you make today is a brick in the house that your future self has to live in. And when I realized that, it hit me like a freight train. I was actively building a house my future self would hate to live in. Let me ask you this. If the version of you 10 years from now could appear in front of you, right this second, what would they say? Would they thank you? Or would they beg you to stop wasting time, stop sabotaging your health, stop letting opportunities pass by? That image haunted me, and it was exactly what I needed. So here's the habit. Before making any decision, big or small, I ask, what would my future self want me to do right now? That's it. Just one question. But it rewired my brain in ways I never expected. Here's how it worked in practice. I used to skip workouts constantly. I'd tell myself, I'll do it tomorrow. I'm tired. It's fine. But then I'd picture my future self older, maybe struggling with his health, wishing he had more energy, and I realized, he doesn't care if I'm tired tonight. He cares about whether he's strong and healthy. Every time I skipped, I was stealing that from him. That thought dragged me to the gym when motivation failed. Another time, I was about to waste an entire evening binging shows. And for once, I stopped and asked, if future me is watching, is this how he wants me to spend this time? The answer was obvious. Did that mean I never relaxed again? No. But when I chose to relax, I did it intentionally, not by default. I stopped numbing myself with distractions and started designing my evenings. And let me tell you something shocking. The moment I started acting with my future self in mind, my present life got easier, not harder. Because suddenly, decisions weren't battles anymore. They became simple. My short-term feelings didn't run the show, my long-term vision did. I'll give you a story. A few months ago, I was sitting in a cafe, scrolling endlessly through my phone, completely zoned out. Across the table, there was this older man, maybe in his 60s. He was alone, just drinking coffee, staring out the window. And I couldn't help but wonder, was he proud of the life he built? Or was he sitting there full of regrets, wishing he had taken his younger years more seriously? That moment punched me in the gut. I suddenly saw myself in him, and I thought, if I keep living the way I'm living, is this who I'll become? That was the day this habit really solidified. Because the truth is, regret is heavier than discipline. Discipline costs you something in the moment, but regret costs you everything later. And when I realized that, choosing discipline became almost easy. Here's the practical side of this habit. Start by imagining one clear picture of your future self. Don't make it vague, make it real. Close your eyes and ask, how old am I? What do I look like? What does my body feel like when I wake up in the morning? What's in my bank account? Who's sitting at the dinner table with me? What kind of house do I live in? And then ask yourself, is that person proud of me or disappointed in me? Once you have that vision, you carry it with you into every decision. About to hit snooze, ask, what would future me want? About to procrastinate on a project, ask, what does future me need me to do? About to buy junk food, waste money, ignore your health, skip opportunities, ask the same question. And here's the beautiful thing. You already know the answer. You don't need a guru. You don't need another self-help book. Deep down, you know what future you would thank you for and what you would regret. The question cuts through excuses. Let's get real for a second. You know that scrolling social media for hours isn't making your life better. You know that putting off your health will backfire. You know that staying in a toxic job or relationship because it's comfortable will crush you later. You already know. The question just forces you to face it. I like to think of it this way. My future self is like my silent business partner. Every decision I make either grows our business, our life, or bankrupts it. And I refuse to bankrupt my own future anymore. Let me also add something important. This habit doesn't mean you stop enjoying the present. It doesn't mean you live like a monk, denying yourself everything fun. It means you start enjoying the present in ways your future self will thank you for. Instead of numbing yourself with junk food, maybe you cook a meal you love that also makes you feel great tomorrow. Instead of zoning out with endless scrolling, maybe you go for a walk with a friend, or learn something new, or create something. Fun doesn't disappear, it becomes intentional. And when you start living this way, something magical happens. You start feeling proud of yourself, not in some distant future, but right now. Every good choice stacks a little more pride, a little more confidence, a little more momentum, and you realize you don't have to wait 5 years to feel the rewards. You feel them immediately. The first day I tried this habit, I went to bed with a smile on my face, because for the first time in a long time, I felt like I wasn't betraying myself. I felt like I was building something real. And that feeling, that quiet pride, is addictive. So here's my challenge for you. Tonight, before you go to sleep, picture your future self. Make it real. See their face. Then tomorrow, when you wake up, carry them with you through your day. Every decision, every moment, ask, what would they want me to do? And then do it. Start small, but do it. Because when you live with your future self in mind, every day becomes an investment. And the life you're building stops being a vague dream and starts being a concrete reality. That's the habit that changed my life in one day. And if you start it today, it can change yours too. And before you click away, let me say this. If this resonated with you, if you're ready to start building a life your future self will thank you for, then subscribe right now. Because this channel is where I share the tools, the habits, and the mindset shifts that can transform your future. Stick around, your future self will be glad you did. Now, this fourth habit is a special bonus for those of you who've stayed with me all the way to this point. If you're still watching, that means you're serious about taking action. And this one is reserved for people just like you. This habit is called designing your environment for success, and it can multiply the impact of the first 3 habits exponentially. Here's the truth. Most people underestimate how much their surroundings shape their behavior. Your environment is silent, yet powerful. It either propels you forward or drags you down. And most of the time, you don't even notice it. For years, I was letting mine work against me. My desk was clutter, my notifications never stopped, and every surface looked at screen for my attention elsewhere. I was constantly fighting micro battles, trying to focus, trying to work, trying to feel motivated, and it was exhausting. Then I made a deliberate choice. I would make my environment work for me, not against me. I started small. I cleared my desk of everything unnecessary. I put my phone in another room during work blocks. I added only items that inspired or reminded me of my goals, books, notes, even small objects that triggered energy and focus. I rearranged my living space to reduce chaos and increase flow. The result? My mind became instantly lighter, and my actions became automatic rather than forced. Think about it. When your phone is buzzing beside you, your desk is messy, or your surroundings are clutter, every little decision becomes harder. You have to fight your environment constantly, and it drains energy you could have used to make meaningful progress. But when your environment is intentionally designed, your focus becomes natural. You don't have to summon willpower, it's built into the space around you. Let me give you a story. One morning, I decided to do a test. I cleared my workspace completely, leaving only a notebook and a pen. I unplugged my devices, removed distractions, and placed a single quote in front of me. Build your life, one action at a time. I sat down to work and ended up writing for 3 straight hours without even noticing the time. Before, even 30 minutes of focused writing felt impossible. Why? Because my environment had been working against me. Once I removed the friction, the work flowed naturally. This habit isn't just about productivity, it's about shaping your identity. If you surround yourself with inspiration, organization, and tools that reinforce the person you want to become, your brain starts to adopt that identity automatically. You don't have to force yourself to act like a productive, focused, intentional person. Your environment nudges you toward that behavior naturally. And here's the best part. This habit works in combination with all the others. Your mornings are yours again. Your tiny promises build unshakable self-trust. Your future self guides your decisions, and now, your environment is literally reinforcing every choice you make. It's the ultimate multiplier. So here's the challenge for you. If you're still watching and ready to act, take one step today to redesign your environment. Remove one distraction. Move one thing that's draining you. Place one object, note, or tool that reminds you of who you want to be. It doesn't have to be huge. Start small, but do it intentionally. And watch how everything else in your life starts to flow easier. Remember, this bonus habit is reserved for those who go all the way, who are willing to take action, who are ready to treat their life as a masterpiece under construction. You made it here, so use it. So there you have it, 3 small habits that completely transformed my life in one day, plus a bonus 4th habit for those of you who stay until the very end. If you take even one of these habits seriously, start practicing it today, and stick with it, you will notice a shift. You will feel more control, more confidence, more focus, and more momentum in your life than you thought possible. Remember, change doesn't have to be huge or complicated. It's the small, consistent actions, the tiny decisions you make each day that compound into massive results over time. Guard your mornings. Keep the promises you make to yourself. Act as if your future self is watching. And design your environment to support your growth. These aren't just habits, they're keys to a life you actually want to live. Now it's your turn. Pick one habit. Apply it today. Watch how it changes your energy, your mindset, and your results. And then build on it. Step by step, day by day. You'll be amazed at what you're capable of. If this video gave you value, actionable steps, or even just a spark of motivation, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you never miss another habit, tip, or insight that can push your life forward. Share this with someone who needs a shift in their day, because you never know who will take the leap today and thank themselves tomorrow. Thank you for staying until the very end. You've proven that you're serious about change, and that's the first step toward building a life worth living. Now go out there, take action, and start transforming your life one habit at a time.